I would think that some people here, and maybe more than a few, might be asking, what's this thing here about St. Paul in this thorn in the flesh that he had? What was that? What was that all about? What was the ailment that helped Paul keep humble, even as an apostle of Christ? It's thought that Paul had an eye issue, namely a recurring infection of the lining of his eye that made it difficult for him to see. Yet, amidst this challenge, he continued his ministry, preaching about the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus, preaching about how it changed him, but really how all the world was meant to be changed, not just yesterday or today, but into the future. And so Paul proclaimed in word and in actions not his power, not his ability, but that of the grace of God, the Spirit of God, dwelling within him and working through him. Recently, because I went and looked, I came across a quote about humility. It said this. It said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less." Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. And maybe that's where Paul was coming from. Thinking of himself less. Thinking about others more. Allowing that grace of God to work through him every day. And the fact is, the reality is that we've all been gifted with faith. We've all been gifted with the Spirit of God. And this Spirit of God, this faith, is meant to be part and parcel of our day-to-day living. And so maybe this week we pray that like Paul, like St. Paul, we'll think more of others and less of ourselves. We'll think more about what others need and a little less of what we want. That we'll think more about how we can allow the Spirit of God continue to work through us. Not just in the ways of the past, but in the ways of the present that maybe are a bit better. Maybe they're better because they respond to the need of today that wasn't present yesterday even. We pray like St. Paul that we'll keep humble, that we'll be humble, allowing that Spirit of God to work through us more and more and more.